Hello guys, welcome to Cognite Hub Databricks tutorials. In my previous video, I have explained you guys about how to connect a version control system like Bitbucket or GitHub or GitLab into Databricks. And in this video, I am going to explain about like how to create an empty data frame and how to initiate this Spark session and how you are gonna write that empty data frame or a data frame with some data into a table in catalog here. So now without wasting any time, let's dive into the topic. So as in the last video, as I have already shown you how I created this repository here with the main branch. Now I am just opening this repository here, and inside this, if you see this, we have only gitignore as well as readme file. But now what I'm doing is I'm creating a new notebook here inside this main branch, or I can say like a folder. The folder contains like demo or YouTube demo, something like that. YouTube demos. I'm just creating a folder inside it, and inside this folder I'm gonna create a notebook named as, so I'm gonna rename the notebook as one storing in a table or storing data frame in a table. So I'm just naming like that, but we can rename it later. So as a first step, what I'm gonna do is, so I'm gonna import the Spark session. So for that, we have the Spark session present in PySpark. For that, what I'm doing is from PySpark.sql import Spark session. You can run it. So we got this Spark session imported. Now what I'm doing is I'm gonna create the Spark variable which will use that Spark session. Sparks is equal to Spark session dot. We have a builder class inside the Spark session, and inside that we have one function known as get or create, which will create the Spark session here, and it will store it in the Spark variable. So going forward, I'm not going to explain about this Spark variable here, but I'm just telling you how to create a Spark session and all. But usage of this Spark variable, I'm gonna do that in the coming videos. But in this video, I don't think we have much of a usage here. Yeah, I think we will be using it while creating a data frame, but that you will get to know in the in the coming minutes. So we got this Spark variable created, and now what we are gonna do is, as I said, like we don't have any data right now, we don't have any tables here. So if you go to the catalog, we don't have any table here in this workspace, in the develop or in the develop, whatever it may be, we don't have any tables. I just created this develop folder. As a new guys, you can't see this folder. If you want, you can just right click on this and you can create a schema here, but I'm doing that here. If you go back here to the repository, whatever you created in the tutorials demo, in YouTube demos folder, this is the notebook that we created. And here what I'm doing is, the first step, I have created some data which contains the city name as well as the temperature. I'm just pasting that here as a data here. So now what we need is, we need a schema. So for that, I'm creating a variable known as schema here. So if you want to directly give the names as either, column names as city name and the temperature, you can directly give it like this. But there is one more syntax. You suppose here what it will do is, it will directly infer the schema of these two columns. Like for the first column, it will infer the schema as string, and the second column it will infer the schema as integer, or sometimes it will take it like float or something like that. But in this case, if you want to do that explicitly, schema1 equals to struct type is one of the one of the type that we have available in Databricks, and inside that we need to create each field. So for that, I'm creating an array here, and for each field I'm gonna create one variable. So for one city name, I have created one, and for temperature also I have created one. So inside this, the schema that follows here is the first thing is the column name, city name, and then whatever the type that you are going to give. So city name is like string, right? So we have a type here which is string type, and here we have one of the nullable column. I'm just giving it as true. Similarly, we have it like temperature. For the timing, I'm just giving it like integer type, true. So it is showing error, right? So why it is showing error is because struct type and struct field are not imported here. So for that, what we need to do is we need to import them. PySpark.sql dot, it is present in the types. So import struct type, struct field, integer type, and string type. So if you run this one, it got imported now. If you see this, the error got the error got removed. So if you run this one, I'm just commenting this one out. I'm removing the one also. I'm running it now. If it is that, it got ran. Now I'm gonna create a data frame with this data as well as with this schema. So for that, the data frame I'm initiating is just like df is equals to, I have created a Spark variable, right? So I'm using that Spark variable dot, we have function known as create data frame in PySpark. Using that, now here we need to give data as well as the schema related to that. Here we have data as that which is stored in data, and we have schema stored in schema. So if I run this one, and also I'm gonna print the df as well. So if I run this, it will run and it will create a data frame and it will print the data as well. So it is saying like has no object create. Okay, there is a spelling mistake, data frame. If I run it again, it is saying integer type cannot accept object. Okay, I'm gonna change it to float type. I need to import this one. There is some data discrepancy, but that's fine. I need to run it again. And running the same command again. If you see this now, the data got created. As it is a float, the data was just got some extended. So this is how you will create an empty data frame with whatever the data that you anticipated, and as well as the schema whatever that you want. So this is how you will create. Now what I want is I want to store this empty this data frame whatever I have created into a table in the Delta Lake. So if you see this catalog now, no table is there, right? Now I want a table in develop. I don't have any tables right now available in the develop. Now I want whatever the data frame that I have created in that develop in the develop folder or database, whatever you can call it. So here for that what I'm doing is we have one of the syntax known as save as table function, which will store the table in the Delta Lake with the whatever the name that you will provide. So for that what I'm doing is we have data frame. So it means whatever the data that is present in data frame, bring it up and write into what mode, how you want to write it. You want to overwrite it or you want to append it, whatever it may be. So I am writing it like append dot. So what is the function that I have told you previously? It is like save as table. Save as table. I need to give the table name. So here I have created a develop folder there, right? I am using that develop folder because it will, if you keep dot, it will basically redirect into the folder space. So if I am giving the table name as weather info, so what it will do is it will go to the catalog folder and it will search for develop, and we have dot, right? It will basically look for the folder of develop, and then inside that it is gonna create the table name. So this is how it will work. So if I execute this one, the table, I mean, it will write into the develop.weather info. So if you go here, if I refresh this, so if I open it again in the develop branch, in the develop database, I can see the weather info here, and you can also see the sample data right next to the, I mean, dashboard itself. You can see all the data here. So this is how the data will store. And if you see here, as I mentioned, it will look into the folder space and all, right. Now I will try to run the same logic without the develop folder. Now see where the data will, I mean, store. I'm just saving this one and I'm creating another one. So now I am removing this develop space and I'm directly running this logic. Now it will store into weather info directly. I mean, we have a default database, right? So it will directly load into default database. Here we don't have any data in the default right now, but if I reload it, we have same weather info in the default as well. So this is how, if you don't specify any folder name, it will directly load into the default database. But if you specify the folder name, it will go into the data folder, and then it will store into that particular database. So that is how you will create a Spark session, and you will create a data and schema and load it into some, or you can create a data frame like that with whatever the data that you want and the schema, and then at the end you will also write table into one of the, I mean, folder in the Delta Lake. So this is how you will do all these things. Mainly this type of creating data frames will be useful for testing purposes. Suppose if you want to validate some of the function or do some sort of functionality in that, you such type of things will be useful. But yeah, going forward we will be using this data to do some other operations on these columns and all. But that is all for this video, guys. Thank you for watching.